Welcome to Empowered by AI. I'm Michelle Muncie Silva. This podcast is for women building what's next and using AI with intention. In Season 7, you'll hear from founders, entrepreneurs, business builders who are redefining success, creating on their own terms, and moving with intention. We're learning from conversations about reinvention, identity, and taking action because every episode gives you ideas you can use immediately. Let's get into it. Oh, Lisa, I've been waiting for this one.
Very excited for a few weeks. I'm excited too. Thank you, Michelle, for having me.
Oh, so happy to have you. I want to give you a moment because, ladies, we are in the presence of a force. Lisa, why don't you go ahead and tell them a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I actually do a lot of things, but primarily my focus now is on more of a wellness, educational business. So I've actually started a lot of small businesses just post corporates and following what I love. And so what this little piece that I'm working on right now is around Chinese soups. It's very specific, it's very niche, but what foundationally builds it is the traditional Chinese medicine concept. So I'm back in school full time. I've gone back to school just to get the credentials for it. And so I create soups and I create contents for it. That's it.
And I'm curious because you said this was post-corporate. So what did that corporate life give you that still serves you today in your more entrepreneurial endeavors?
So much. I think there's so much. There's a lot of realizations, first of all, in that the difference. Sorry. There's a few differences, fundamentally recognizing that I'm on my own, right? And I am a one-man band. But what I've taken is all the functions, right? Understanding that in corporate, you've got HR, finance, ops, strategy, all of that exists under one person, right? And so being corporate in multiple roles, you see how that can exist in you and where your strengths are and where your strengths are not. And so I think that's one thing. And also just working with people. In the end, that's all we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so whether it's in corporate, whether it's as an entrepreneur, whether it's whatever endeavor you choose, fundamentally we're all integrated and connected through people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And I love that you talk about we're not forgetting who that person was, right? A lot of people misunderstand that moving into entrepreneurial spaces, you're starting all over again.
Not at all.
Was there a
No.
part of your world that you did have to unlearn? Or do you feel like you brought a lot of it with you and it was all valuable?
So this is not a technical learning. This is actually more something I have to let go, right? And one of that too, actually. The first is my title and just have to let go of the ego piece. That's like, how do I introduce myself now? I don't have a title or a big organization connected with it. That was a big one for me. And the second one is financial stability. What we don't realize comes with corporate is all the benefits on top, right? There's a security kind of in a way with that regular type of work. And so those are what I had to let go of. And so it's not a skill-based thing. It's more just me internally in my own discomfort of how society expects me to show up or how I expect myself to show up. Yeah.
And I think that's fascinating because I went on such a journey with my mother around that because realistically, she was, if you look at what has happened in the United States for women, it has been incredibly recent that she would have, as a woman, even have been able to start her own business, right? So she would have had to have had a male signature as a co-signer. Since I've graduated high school, that's changed, right? So it is that recent. And for my mother, in that context, my success was very, very connected to titles. And it was very, very connected to my position within a hierarchy of a particular industry.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I am super, super fascinated with that journey because it is so recent for all of us. And I think a lot of times we beat ourselves up
Totally.
that because our women that raised us they had a certain conditioning, and God love them for it. There's no judgment. But I'm just curious, when did you first start calling yourself a founder?
Even today, I still have a little bit of that imposter syndrome in that I don't feel like that belongs to me, right? And so I can't say I've fully let it go. It's
Mm-hmm.
a and this has been maybe 2, 3 years post-corporate. And so it's a journey, and you said this, and it might be however long it takes for you to have enough of that recognition of yourself. That's your own journey and your own timeline. And so I'm still on it, to be honest with you, when I introduce, especially in corporate settings. I serve on a few school boards with my university, and everyone's a professional. I'm a professional too, but in a different sense. And when people talk and make introductions, I still feel a bit shy about it. So that conditioning is very deep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's such an emotional journey
Yes.
for women, especially because there is this sense of, who am I?
Love it. That's exactly it. And what label defines me? Do you need a label to define who you are, right? And society, how we're raised, our parents encourage, and we're given this narrative to wear these many labels and clothing. And at the end, it's to find your own way through it, right? I think I feel like that's what life is about, is trying to shed all that and find your own.
Has there been something that surprised you most emotionally about building your small businesses?
I thought it would take long. I thought it would be faster for me to assimilate into it. But even up till now, I feel like I'm still shifting. And sometimes like when they talk about women, when you come out, what's your mission statement? Right? Even corporately, we work on our yearly mission statements. Is it still valid? Our vision. Same thing, right? We talk about what's your mission statement coming out of corporate. Mine is still changing. And I feel like it's still changing. It's been changing. And I'm okay with it. To the point my LinkedIn keeps changing because I really don't know what to put on it. And I think that's okay. Change with it, right?
Mhm.
Just throw it out there and
Yeah.
flow with it.
That's the thing. I mean, we're literally just having this conversation about the multi-hyphenated beings that we are. We don't have to be just one compartment.
Yes.
Is that maybe a carryover from that corporate? Because there was such a stay in your lane in my experience with the industry that I was in, especially the bigger the industry got, the more the lane narrowed.
Agree. I totally agree with that. Especially, so yes, industry, but as well as the role and your skill set. So, for example, people applying for jobs, you tend to get jobs or asks about roles of your latest role, right? So you've already been put in a box. And I think this is the magic of it is like, all right, I don't want that box. It's not me because I have multiple boxes. Right? And now it's actually breaking free of that and saying, all right, what are the tools? What are the mechanisms? What's my inspiration to go and allow myself to create other boxes? And
Mhm. Yeah. And it's beautiful, but yet so difficult to do.
yeah.
Do you think part of that difficulty is because the model is so new, right? I
So I like to tell a story. Do you know the crabs? You know what crabs do in a box? So as Asians, we love eating blue crabs. And so if you buy crabs as a box and a crab tries to climb out, his peers and his will claw him back in. That's the energy, right? And that's what's happening in how we're set up as society, where, oh, no, 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 you can't do that. Come back in, right? And therefore, it's like the parents saying, what? You're going to quit your job? What? You're going to quit your job? What? You're not going to work? What? Financial stability? Those are the other people trying to claw you back. And that's okay, right? Because this is the environment they understand. And so that's what I relate to is part of it is because our society is structured in a way to ask those questions and challenge something different. Actually, I would like to ask is it because there's a discomfort in themselves with that that they
Mhm.
will say it?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think for my family support, I think a lot of that questioning comes from a place of well-intentioned fear,
Yes, that's it. Yeah,
right?
that's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand what you're doing right now,
Correct.
because it doesn't fit into what I know,
Correct.
or as a woman, what I thought to be able to do.
Yeah. Agree.
And so it's like, oh, okay, all right. Okay, no, I'm not going to go for that title. I'm going to be doing this instead. Okay, well, how does that? And then they immediately try to fit it into the structure that they understand.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
for
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, and I think part of it, our role then is to be compassionate and loving and understand, oh, this is where you're coming from. It's still from a position of love and care, but also just not seeing it the same way now, how we have like a sliver of a different view. But just being understanding is like, oh, I love you for that. Thank you for sharing. I got it. I understand your care. I'm going to carry on. Right. Yeah.
Right. Did you build your small businesses while still being employed? Did you make the leap and then build them in the middle of that leap? What did that journey look like for you?
I'm risk adverse. And so I had to build it while I was doing corporate parallel. So this is just my personality. Some people are willing to take the leap and say, I'm going to do it because they more risky than I am. But my personality is a little more risk adverse. So I've been building things on the side the whole time. And then when I felt I had enough momentum, I was like, cool, I think I'll leave now.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I am officially leaving mine in 3 weeks. So
Congrats.
thank
Well
you. It
done.
has been a journey. I completely understand. But if someone's listening and maybe they've given themselves a window and they want to transition in the next year or so, what do you think they should focus on first?
All right, I have two answers to that. The first answer is a very logical, rational approach, which is, all right, do you have a business plan in place? Do you know who your consumer is? Do you know what the product or service is, right? That you're pricing, basically the whole business plan. That's a very logical view. However, as I move more into just flowing with myself and trusting my intuition, there's another part of me that's like, all right, as long as you have sufficient financial and lifestyle choices made to support it, let everything else just flow in your highest excitement. Don't worry. And that's what I'm letting go of now, the structure, the project management, the planning. That's what I've kind of just let go of and know, okay, you know what? I think I'm comfortable enough to make life choices. So we've reduced travel, right? Like with the family. So there's some financial sacrifices that we have made as a family unit for me to be able to fulfill this, right? But beyond that, I'm just like, I'm just going to flow with it, right? I don't have a plan. It doesn't matter. I kind of know it'll come to me in a way that as long as I'm still following what excites me, I'm good.
Do you feel like there are moments of fear that show up a little bit more consistently for you than others in as you're making this transition? Are there things that really just like hit you?
All the time. Very normal. And I think it's the fear that's one part of us. So one of the things I mentioned to you about is like recognizing the different parts of who I am. And there's a part who was raised, taught, and trained to be risk adverse. It's that Lisa, the risk adverse Lisa, that's speaking in these moments. She is the one who gives, but what about this? Financially, what about that? What about this decision? Have you done that? Would you worry? Your retirement, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? I just let her ramble for 10 minutes. I'll ring fence her, just let her show up and I'm like, I heard you. Thank you. And move on. Right. And she's there. The fear will be there. And different parts of us will have different fears. It's okay. It's normal. I think it's human.
Yeah. And I think I love the way you called that out because sometimes we prepare ourselves for, okay, I'm ready for this conversation at the family gathering, or I'm ready for this conversation with my previous coworkers. But really, I have found that the cruelest
Mhm.
opposition is right in our own minds.
Right.
I'm really curious about the journey that women go on to get back to that. Because, okay, maybe I shouldn't say get back to. I'm making an assumption there. So often, I think we lose touch with our intuition. We
Mm.
lose touch with that creativity
Yeah.
because we have been marching.
Correct.
We're
Yeah.
carrying all of the things, all the emotional of the family, all the work structure, all of that, all at once. And so the creativity, the intuition, it takes some time to wake back up to that again. And
Mhm.
here's this nagging Nancy carrying around on my own shoulders.
Yeah.
How do you think people can begin to address that productively? Because I love that you said, "Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. We're gonna put a circle around that."
Yeah. Because that's a part of you. You can't deny that part of who you are. You can't change it. They exist, they're protecting you. Maybe look at that as the gift. However, knowing that she exists, but there's also this other version, there's a few different versions. There's the excited version who wants to move forward. They all have valid voices, but which one do you want to actually table and act on? Right. And so I think part of the challenge that we do is we try to suppress all the nagging Nancy's, as you call them. And that takes effort, right? But allow them to surface, recognize that part of who you are, celebrate that they're there to help you recognize, see something, and then say, okay, that's great. I've heard you. But I also want the intuition that you spoke of, right? They also have a voice. Come forward, your turn. And then you can look at yourself in the pieces and say, which one is best for you now? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up because I really do think if we're being honest, there are a ton of pros and cons to this life chosen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what part of entrepreneurship do you think is harder than people admit? And what part do you think is even better than people ever share?
I think a lot of people don't talk about, all right, the thing I think that's really important because us being in corporate and then moving out is that when you make mistakes, whether it's financially or in any position, corporate has the ability to absorb it. When you're on your own, you can't, right? And so every little move has a consequence that's loud and clear. Whereas at work, a little bit of delay, fine. Depends. A little bit of overspend, fine. There's room in the organization to absorb some of these variances in the business. But as an entrepreneur, you really can't. So in the end, it's like, well, what did you learn from it then, right? And so I think this is a big one that we don't talk about enough on that mistakes or not mistakes, but things that didn't go as planned or that you thought would turn out that way. For example, marketing investments, working with certain firms or whatever, the impact is actually much larger than if you were in corporate and you feel it, you see it, right?
Mm.
And so that's something that I think entrepreneurs don't really talk much about.
Yeah. Yeah, that can be incredibly paralyzing. But we have to balance that, right? Balance that with all that's good. What part do you think is so amazing you don't ever want to go back?
Honestly, it's the freedom in time and how I spend. So I forgot that Monday is Victoria Day. Why? Because you're just every day is like either play day or holiday. Like every day is the same for me in that there's no holiday. There's nothing. It's not called a holiday. I'm just doing something. And so you forget that you're part of a system in a calendar, right? And you just do what you love. You do what excites you at that time, right? That's it.
Oh, that yeah, and it's absolutely I think that's what wakes intuition back up again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I really do,
You're
is
right.
that, "Oh, this is what it's like."
Per Yeah. Oh, and I feel like doing this today, right? Or the part of, like, for example, the project manager in me, oh, wants to create a plan. Let's do it now. But it doesn't mean I'll do it tomorrow, right? Even though it's the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, I have a task I need to do. But I'm like, but I don't need that. That excites me now. So I'm going to go create content, right? And so it's not so structured anymore in a sense that you have to follow something fixed. Good and bad's too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think your definition of success has shifted as you've gone through this? Do you think that there's significant awakening definition shift that has happened for you?
I think so. Although success can be cut in so many ways. Are we talking financial success, personal success, growth success, right? I think everyone needs to define their own, first of all,
Mhm.
and it will change over time, but something that's meaningful for you, right? And before, when we're younger, it was like the title and pay, right? That was career success for me. And now it's something different, right? And I recognize that. And so, yeah, at the end, the definition's changing. Right now, it's that freedom, the gratification of service, and impact, right? And then before it was something else. 2 years from now, it might be different as well. And that's okay.
Yeah. I think, though, there is something to entrepreneurship that allows women to experience a becoming.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
really do.
Keep going. Tease that out a little more.
I think that there is a freedom in it, as you expressed. There's fear, but
Mhm.
there's the ability to fight through that fear,
Mhm.
right? That's unique.
Yeah.
Oftentimes with women, there is that, oh, this over here is going to absorb that a little bit. But I think that being able to fight through that fear is something incredibly powerful. I think there's an action taking as well that
Mhm.
forces women to, because I've met many women that sit in a learning cycle because it's a delay tactic. There's
Mhm.
always gonna be one more thing to learn,
Yeah.
and the way it was explained to me one time that I thought was fascinating is it almost as if it's an addiction. So
Oh.
there's an addiction to seeing the problem.
Yeah.
There's not the addiction to the solution.
Wow.
So the constant learning is a stall, right? It's that
Mm.
dopamine hit. It's like, "Oh, I see the problem. Oh, I see it. I can work on that. I can work on that." But then the action taking,
Yeah.
again, if you're an entrepreneur, there's no kudos to that. It's just you survived another day as an entrepreneur.
Agree. Agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you find another way that is fulfilling for you besides those outside kudos? What continues to fuel you as you move forward?
So I talked about this, about not necessarily having a plan. And so because I do things that excite me in the moment.
Uh-huh.
And it could be really last minute and it could be long drawn, but I'll
Mhm.
feel it, right? So the point is to lean into like, oh, I need to do this small task, even if it's not or kudoable, right? You know that you're leaning into something that excites you, right? And even then, there's ways that, and for me, it took a while to learn this. Like, for example, even paying bills can be exciting, right? Because if you flip it in terms of like a mindset in like, wow, I get to do this because I have the funds to do this. So buy, fund, and this is what I'm getting as a result, right? For my life. I think there are ways to frame. So a lot of it is mindset as well. And there's a bit of training, I think, that goes into that. Um, on the type of mindset that will help you to get through the little tasks that we feel don't give us kudos.
Yeah. Tell me more about that mindset. What do you think? What is that training, if you will? I mean, you use those words. What does that look like? And how do we, I guess I would say, enrich ourselves with that?
Okay, so a data point is 5 out of 10 is a data point. It means nothing to me or you until you put meaning to it. And this is where the training comes in, right? And so if I'm going for a run and I say hi, five over 10 people responded. How am I looking at the story? I often say, oh, it's amazing. 5 people said hello. However, another story could be, oh my gosh, only 5 out of 10 people said hello. Only 50% responded back. Right. And so it's really being conscious of the frames that we're taking out of the same data point, but it's just starting with that. How is my frame of how am I how's my frame of looking at something?
Mm.
And what's another frame that can be available to me, right? And it does take training, but it's recognizing at first, oh, I'm thinking in a loss frame right now. Oh, and so loss frames feel like I don't have, I cannot, I wish. It feels from a position of lack. And so just starting to recognize how you think is a really great place. So self-awareness is a really great place to start positioning how your brain operates.
Mm.
And then we could say, okay, here's the flip, the gain side of the same perspective, the same story. It's just a different perspective.
You're almost introducing as if you're having a conversation with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so it's like being outside of your own brain to recognize, oh, wait, you're thinking in a lost frame right now. Right. And that's what you want to be able to step outside of yourself to see yourself.
See, I think this is part of why we are so energized and excited by the work, because would you have had the space for that kind of self-awareness in your prior corporate setting?
I didn't understand it until I was taught it.
Okay.
So we all have the space. We just don't recognize what it looks like. You don't know what you don't know. And so once you know, oh, here's how I'm thinking, then you have choice because you know.
I love that you just woke that up for so many women.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Lisa, what's next for you on your journey? What are you working on right now?
I think finished school. So I'm back at full time doing my Doctor of Traditional Chinese Medicine. It's gonna be another 4 year. Probably finish that for now, but taking it like literally one semester at a time right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I don't know.
But what is that? How did now tell me about the connection between that and your soup lady work?
Yes. So Chinese soups itself is very grounded in a lot of generational wisdom. There's a lot of actually traditional Chinese medicine that's been passed down generation to generation. However, my curiosity now is the credentials for it, but also how to bridge in a way that I can teach it that makes sense. And it's not just because my mom told me so or my grandmother told me so to do this, right? And so for me, it's like, oh, here's why they said it. That's what I'm trying to uncover.
Okay. So if people want to connect with you and they want to stay in your sphere of influence a little bit closer, where should they go to connect with you?
Lots of places. I'm on Instagram, on YouTube. The name formally, and it's funny because I call her like the third person. She is known as the Chinese soup lady. And I kind of don't see her as me, but she is. Anyway, but that's who she is. And so yeah, she exists on social media around. And LinkedIn, of course, I'm there as Lisa. But beyond that, yeah, she's out there on the web, the Chinese soup lady for anyone to explore and discover her.
I love it. And I want to continue exploring and discovering because I want to be a part of this journey. This is absolutely amazing.
You, Michelle.
Oh, fantastic. And thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Your journey is such an amazing experience and we're all the better for learning from you.
No, thank you for connecting me. Thank you for actually creating this community and being like a spearhead for it. I personally, that's not my space and that's not my gift, but I do recognize that there are little people, in the community that can pop up and say, hey, I want to bring you together and bring us together. Right. And so that's what I'm really appreciating about your gift and your ability here through this channel.
Ah, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Same.
You've been listening to Empowered by AI, and I'm your host, Michelle Muncy Silva. If something from this episode clicked, don't let it stop here. Take one idea and try it out this week. And if you want to go deeper, head over to the Empowered by AI, the Slay Effect YouTube channel, where you can watch demos and walkthroughs from our guests today and so many others. Like, subscribe, and join us there so you don't miss out on what's coming next. All the links and resources are in the show notes. I'll see you next time.